national spokesperson of this budding, beautiful green movement called ActionSA. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much, Limpopo. You guys are raising the bar very, very high. Usually these things start quite late and we wait, but you guys have been here for a long time. So thank you for that. Without wasting too much time, let me introduce the people you see at this table. On your very far right, which is my far left, we have one of our leaders in this province who's been quite instrumental. I won't talk about them. Somebody else will do that job, but I'm going to tell you his name. Is Collins Nwandule. He's our leader here. Welcome, Collins. Next to him, we have, who I'm happy to see, we have Mayor Snowy Kennedy. And next to her, we have our National Director of Operations, the General, John Moodey. Next to John Moodey, I don't know if some people need introductions, but we have Mr. Herman Mashaba, who's the president of our organization. And then I will skip this gentleman next to Mr. Mashaba because you'll hear too much about him just now. Just next to me here is our national chairperson, Mudulas Dulo Aruna nationally, Dade Michael Beaumont. On my right, another activist, organizer of ours, working together with Collins. We have Dade Peter Tlowane, who's our provincial coordinator, correct? Yes. And then we have Mayor Florence Ramakwela, who is on my furthest right. So welcome to everyone. I will now hand over to our national chairperson, Mr. Michael Beaumont, to make our opening remarks, and welcome.
All right, good morning to everyone, and what a pleasure to see such a full room. I can assure you we are cozy at the main table just like you are over there, so thank you very much for being with us here today. I would like very much to extend our greetings to members of the media, community members across Limpopo, ActionSA structures, and very importantly, our fellow South Africans following these proceedings from wherever they may be via the power of live broadcast. We have undertaken a 4-day tour in Limpopo, which has culminated in this moment. Our National Director of Operations, John Moodey, and I have undertaken a tour which has seen us crisscrossing this province, which started in Bella Bella and Spa Park, where we spoke with the community about the crushing weight of unemployment and hopelessness. We have been through Polokwane and looked at the service delivery failures in this town. We were in Thohoyandou, where we were talking with students of the University of Venda and community members, where we have been speaking about the victims of the VBS looting, and witnessing many challenges that the residents in that community face. We have traveled through Giyani and settled in the small village on the outskirts of Giyani, the Nkomo village, a community that does not have water unless they buy water, because the national government saw fit to loot billions of rands for a project that was meant to deliver a basic human right to this community. We have been to Sekokune, to Gopahla, where we had the great pleasure of introducing ActionSA to Kgoshi Letsiri Phahla, and we were overwhelmed by his incredible gesture of joining ActionSA very publicly yesterday, and deeply humbled by that. And we finished off yesterday in Seshego, where we received an overwhelming welcome from the people of that very strategic place. And I think particularly for us, the purpose of this tour, aside from exploring the vastness that I've come to learn that is Limpopo, is to engage the structures of ActionSA ahead of our announcement. We are an organization that is operating off an interim constitution, but we have structures across the province that deserve to be consulted. And we have engaged extensively and far and wide in respect of the announcement that we make today. And I'm absolutely pleased to report that the structures of ActionSA and the communities we have engaged believe that Herman Mashaba has made a very good appointment today. And we will talk about that a little bit more later on. Before I proceed to introduce our guest of honor, I think it is very important to recognize that the growth of ActionSA doesn't start today. It started a long time ago. And it started because of some fantastic South Africans who are deeply committed to this country, who have undertaken to grow ActionSA organically. And even though we limited our contestation to the municipalities that we did in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, there were people in this province who have developed structures and to whom a huge amount of credit is warranted for the state that we find ActionSA in today, as what we describe as ActionSA's fastest growing province in South Africa. Those two individuals have been introduced already as Peter and Collins, and it is important to recognize that while they have provided exemplary leadership to this project, they have done so because of a number and hundreds of ActionSA members who have been deeply committed to the cause of fixing Limpopo, and I pay tribute to all of those leaders right now. Thank you very, very much. But there is an interdependent relationship between leaderships and teams. Leaders can't work unless they have teams, and teams need strong leaders. And it is for that reason that we are here today, and I have the distinct pleasure to introduce the man sitting to your right and my left, Mr. Sello Lediga. Sello was born in 1962 in Alexandra. He was schooled in Tembisa. He proceeded to what was then the University of the North at Turfloop, which I believe is now known as the University of Limpopo today. He there studied education, and he holds an honors in history, and as a perpetual student, which is something that we encourage. He is currently studying towards his master's in history. At Turfloop, he was active in student politics through AZASO, the Azanian Students' Organization, where he was the secretary of the SRC. And his political involvement in that campus and organizing protests against the apartheid government had him experience the injustice and the brutality of the apartheid police when he was detained in 1985. Sello proceeded to become a lecturer at the Sekokune College of Education, and then ultimately in 1994 became the Director of Education in the province of Limpopo under the Premier Ngwako Ramatlhodi. He left shortly afterwards to go into business, and we in ActionSA welcome people who go through that experience, because learning those business skills and understanding what is needed to grow our economy is a trait that we value in leadership. He was involved in consulting, IT, furniture, and particularly important to this province, agriculture, where he was involved in a very important organization that supported emerging farmers who had recently received land through land restitution to access funding, capital and equipment so that they could be effective in taking over that land. In 1990, Sello joined the ANC after its unbanning, and he was part of the branch executive in Nchabaleng in the Sekokune district under the leadership of Lawrence Pokonoka. In 2013, he was appointed to the Limpopo task team by the ANC Top 6, and that provincial task team was put in place to deal with the province being placed under administration under the then leadership of Castle Matale. He served as the spokesperson of the ANC in the province, working with their National Communications Committee with Jackson Mthembu, Lindiwe Zulu, and Keith Khoza. However, he left in 2014, and I will of course afford him the opportunity to speak more substantively on his reasonings for leaving the ANC and coming to ActionSA. But he did so citing the legacy of corruption, of factionalism, and of failed service delivery, all of which the people of Limpopo were required to pay the price for. In 2015, he published a book, Tenders and the Fall of Limpopo, which book told a story of how the provincial government had been failed by the constant pursuit of self-enrichment, which we are all too familiar about. But ladies and gentlemen, the individual to my right has been a spokesperson, and he probably requires me to speak for him no more than I have already. But it is a great pleasure to introduce to you today our Provincial Chairperson of Limpopo, Sello Lediga.
Good morning, everyone. Fellow South Africans, patriots, Batwa, Limpopo, Abshin, Tovela, Macharoni. It is an emotional moment, but in order to deal with this thing, I'm going to start by quoting an Italian philosopher called Antonio Gramsci. And Gramsci says, the crisis consists precisely in the fact that the old refuse to die, while the new struggle to be born. After we defeated apartheid, we thought we had achieved our freedom, only to have a new regime that now has become the old. And for this country to move forward, this old must be replaced by the new. And the new is ActionSA. Now, I must say this. South Africa is in a crisis. And I've always told my comrades in the ANC before I left that the problem cannot be the solution. In the Soviet Union, when Gorbachev became the president there, the Soviet Union had a crisis, and the only solution was to dismantle the USSR. In the late 1980s, P.W. Botha tried very much to reform apartheid, but the problem became so much that we had to help him to deal with the problem of apartheid. So what I can tell you is that once you are a problem, there's no way you're going to become a solution. I couldn't be part of the problem, infinitely. So as a patriot and as somebody, I've got young children who have to grow up in this country. I decided I'm looking for a solution, and I think I found the right home in this young organization. ActionSA is the new kid on the block. It was formed at the right time for the right purpose. A little bit about myself. I was actually born long ago, but what I remember is that I was 14 when the 1976 riots happened. Because I was in Tembe, so we started on the 17th, not on the 16th. I did throw a little bit of a stone, but the greater benefit on that day was that when I was looting, and I couldn't loot, I was young, I did end up with a fresh loaf of bread and little Zimba chips. And when I went to university, and I arrived at the university 3 years after my president here, but I dropped out, I'm sure that's the story is known today. I became a student activist, and at that time, really, I got involved in the struggle, to liberate these people. When Oliver Tambo said we should make this country ungovernable, I took that very seriously. And I showed my captivity at the institution, and I also became the secretary of the Student Representative Council, which was a very important thing, but unfortunately attracted the attention of the security police. And that's why in 1985, I was one of those who were detained under Section 50 of the Internal Security Act. And for the young people, I want you to understand, there's a difference between arrest and detention. Detention means you have no rights. You are captured by the enemy. Your mother can't see you, your father can't see you, your brother can't see you, your lawyer can't see you, nobody. You're simply in the hands of the enemy. And thank God that we did survive that, and I ended up completing my studies. And as a young lecturer, I took my place in the progressive movement. For those who do not know, I'm also a founder member of the South African Democratic Teachers Union. Let's Minister Tula Singesi. He used to sleep in my house called Flora Park when we were looking for recognition in the other homelands. Collins, where's Collins? When we went to Gazankulu, we had there to go and look for recognition of SADU. We had to go to Venda and look for recognition of SADU. We had to do it to find recognition, And these are kind of things that made us to participate in order to begin now to completely disintegrate the Bantustans and make sure that we've got a united Limpopo. Limpopo is a province that has got great potential, but it has been misgoverned for very many years. In fact, it is the first province to be put under administration, under the leadership of Castle Matali, when actually money ran out completely. After that, if you want to know what happened, this is what I actually published in 2015, because I got all the documents. Even I could tell you how much was left in the account, you know, when Pravin Gordon and Jacob Zuma decided to intervene and put this province under administration. So it has always been a problem of leadership that is completely not ethical and that enriches itself. If you look at ActionSA, something that makes it clear is that this is an organization that is prepared to fight corruption. This man is very unpopular because as he speaks frankly, he's not diplomatic like some of us, you know. A spade is a spade, and he says, we are going to fight corruption, we are going to save this country. And I can tell you, I know for a fact that in 2024, there will be a national government, you know, of unity or coalition, you know, and this organization will be a key member of that coalition. We are not afraid to say it. If you want to save this country, make Herman Mashaba the President of the Republic of South Africa. In this province, and I'm going to conclude, in this province, you know, people think that Limpopo is safe. People say, and I'm one of these political columnists, I'm one of them who write from time to time, that the ANC is being driven out of the metros. It is finding refuge in the rural areas. I can assure you now, there's no refuge now. The fact that Hoshi Litseri-Phatla joined ActionSA yesterday is significant. Not only is he that, but you must not forget that he's also the chairperson of Contralesa in this whole province, you know. This is only possible because not the ANC has alienated so many people, it also alienated the chiefs, you know, through Contralesa. So for us, we are saying we are going to embrace them and we want to be led by our chiefs, you know, in our areas. 2024, our focus is on 2024. And let me tell you, I know politics. I've been there, you know. We are not going to allow ourselves to be infiltrated, you know, by fifth columnists, you know, who will come into organization and say, hey, Herman Mashaba, what, there's a democratic process and what if you are not going to do that, you know. We are focused. Our focus is 2024. We want to be the second biggest party in 2024, if you understand. If not, but he will talk about that. But the point I'm trying to make is that that will only happen when we do our work in the provinces. I can assure you, I'm sure 2 weeks ago you saw it, when there was a conference here, you know. The only thing that makes these people famous is fighting amongst each other. That is exactly the reason that in 2014, while I was actually on the list to go to the legislature, I actually declined it because I was not prepared to be in a state of permanent factionalism and paralysis. I wanted to be in an environment of growth, potential, and progressivism. And that is exactly where I found that is exactly where I found myself. So I want to say this province has potential in terms of the economy. I've been in ICT, as has indicated, we've been in agribusiness with other people, and we know for a fact that what this province needs is a progressive government. But the most important thing, it's a government that does not steal from the people. No matter how much you can come with your economic policies, you know, if everything that comes into the fiscus, it's stolen, you remain with nothing. And this is important. This theft, you are only stealing from the poor. People think that they are stealing from government. Who is government? That money, the fiscus, where does the money come? It comes from all of us. So anybody, and Limpopo has got a lot of that. I mean, you know the heist of the bank, you know, called VBS. I think in the history of this country, those are the biggest heist, you know. Unscrupulous, unbelievable that people can actually bring a bank down, you know. But what is worse is that those people that have brought the bank down are now leaders of this provincial government. But I can assure you now, because I'm done, if the other faction of the NC that tried to do right things has failed, people must not think that the fight is over. We are officially here. We will fight this battle against BVPS. We will walk each step with the people of this country, ethical people who want to save this country. So I think this is basically what I want to say, that we are, and you can see, and I want to pay tribute to the people that have been here, Collins and Peter and the others before I was appointed, you know. It's unbelievable. I think the president will tell you, this is really unbelievable that right at the beginning, you know, look how many we are. And we are represented in all the 5 districts, by the way. Don't think we are just Nyanamopoloko anymore, you know. That's why our national chain indicated that we've been going throughout the program. So I'm going to end it there to say, I'm determined to provide this leadership. It's not an easy decision. You don't know. Yesterday was the worst day for me. You know, I've been called many things, traitor and what have you. But I want to teach them simple politics. And it starts with the Constitution. This Constitution is very clear that we are going to build a multi-party democracy. The fact that you are a member of the ANC in 1912 does not mean that you are bound to the ANC until you die. When the vision, the values of this great movement have been trampled upon, you know, I can no longer be associated with that. It is contaminating. So I want to say to you, we are going to be, and I want to appeal to the people that I'm going to be working with, please, let us not bring the bad habits of the ANC in this party. I'm sorry, I'm not dictator, but I will simply not allow it. And this man has given me powers. If you do that, you are going to have to deal with me, unfortunately. And I can be brutal. We are going to pull together. We've got a common vision. And our slogan is simple. We will not fix South Africa unless we fix Limpopo. So we're actually going to it. So in conclusion, this is my quotation to go now. It says, greater than the marches of mighty armies is an idea whose time has come. I will repeat, greater than the marches of mighty armies is an idea whose time has come. And that is ActionSA. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much. Limpopo, you can see you're in good hands, ne? Mr. Mashaba, I don't know how you are going to top that one. But Mr. Mashaba is our president of our movement, and I will allow him to also say a few words.
Thank you very much, Lerato. Thank you so much, Sello, Lediga. I'm really emotional in the sense that this is another historic day for ActionSA, if not for South Africa. This is going to go down in the history of our country, this particular day. And I think I'd like to really pay tribute to Peter and Colin. I've watched these 2 young men for the last few months, launching branches 5 to 10 every weekend. And I'd actually not really met them before. I had no idea who these people were, where they were getting the funding from, because ActionSA, we're battling. We work on a cash flow basis. Keep saying to Michael, he's become an expert in struggle accounting. From the day we formed this organization, because we formed this organization with no resources, with my family underwriting this project. I remember when I approached my family to fund this project, they wanted to find out from me, how much do I want? I said, my goodness, I've got no idea, but I know we need a lot of money, because this project is about saving South Africa. This is a contribution from my family to save South Africa, because South Africa needed to be saved from the ANC. I tried to do it through the DA, only to discover in the process that the DA wanted to work with the ANC. And by then, you can imagine, I'd already left my successful business, and I decided, confused, when I left as a mayor of the city of Johannesburg only after only serving 3 years with one of our senators, Mr. David Tembe here, who was our chief of police, who's today our MMC of public safety. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was really very confused. But then in the process, when people knew I was leaving, calls came out that, Mashaba, please start your own political party. My goodness, I said, people are really testing me too much. I mean, I took a decision to be the mayoral candidate. I became the first mayor of the city of Johannesburg outside ANC in 1994, since 1994. Was another historic event, running a multi-party system with the DA only. At the time, we only had 38% of council, so we had to rely on others. And I think I learned a lot during that process, working with Michael as my chief of staff. That's how I came to know Michael. So when people said, Shaba, start your own political party, Michael and another colleague of ours, our director of policy, Andre Kutsie, we conceived this idea called the People's Dialogue. That's another historic event. Wanted to start a CODESA to engage South Africans on the kind of South Africa we want. And we wanted to run this over 90 days, because realizing that in the event we get the support of South Africans to start a political party, we needed to prepare ourselves for the 2021 local government elections. So it could not really be a long drawn exercise. And the commitment I gave to my family to underwrite this was that anything under 500,000 supporters, I'll walk away from this. I said, anything under 500,000, I'll walk away from this. That's the only commitment I can give you, but how much it's going to cost, I have no idea. By January of 2020, by that time we had already received 1.1 million submissions. By February, the deadline of February 2020, 2.4 million South Africans gave us the mandate to start this political mission. We were humbled. We had no choice. We had no choice. Because knowing that you've got 2.4 million South Africans who are saying, no, you start a political party. And what was actually quite interesting about the submissions, 165,000 of those submissions, these were highly professional people who gave us 10 to 12 page submissions on how to turn South Africa around. Then came 29th of August, right in the middle of COVID-19, we launched this political party. All the media houses covered our event live, including social media. And 2 weeks later, we went to the IEC to register. 2 weeks later, we started seeing tricks coming out of IEC. We fight that the IEC did not realize that I was born to fight. And not only to fight, I was trained by my grandfather that everything that I do, I must do it to win. Also accepting that life is not easy. And also one thing that my grandfather taught me, like Sello indicated, that whatever I do, I must not do things to make friends. I must do things for the right reasons. Because he says, if you operate that way, you'll have real, genuine friends. Don't just really go and make friends at some shebins in sex and world. He says, that's not the kind of friendship, my boy, I want you to establish. When you establish friendship, it must be a friendship really based on solid foundation. I'm a 62-year-old man. I'm the oldest, with the exception of John. So I lived half of my life under apartheid. I've learned one thing is to take tough decisions when necessary. I'm not scared of taking tough decisions. That's why I was highly successful in business, more especially here in Limpopo. I just could not, my factory, in the 80s when I was running this business, I just could not supply you enough products. You know, I started my business in January of 1985, right in the 28 years later. We are the scum of the world. It's actually quite sad. It makes me very angry. I get very angry every time I look at how ANC betrayed me and betrayed my grandchildren. We've got a lot to do as a black race to regain our pride. It's not going to happen by us singing, by demanding, by people reminding us of our history. We know our history. Our focus has got to be on the future. Our focus has got to be on our future. And we've got to prepare ourselves to live under a new dispensation without the ANC. Because that's one thing that we must accept, which is a fact, whether people like it or not. It is a fact that a prosperous South Africa and ANC cannot coexist in one space. One of them has got to die, and it's not going to be South Africa that's going to die. So it's going to be ANC. And I'm really so grateful of what that team has done in here in Limpopo. They've already given you an indication of their achievements. We've got more branches formed in Limpopo than anywhere else in the country. I saw a tweet this morning by our Provincial Chairperson in Gauteng, Tate Bongani Baloyi, to say, my goodness, I thought Joburg, Gauteng, we are ahead until I see what's happening in Limpopo. So he says, I've got to learn from Limpopo. That is what Gauteng is saying. And the thing is, you know, for me, at the time, all along from day one, Limpopo were just going to contest to really get the few. Because if we look at the electoral support of the ANC since 1994 in Limpopo, it's always been one of the highest. As much as was one of the failed provinces. But not anymore. People of Limpopo are proving to us that they're heartful. People, if there's one province that says you are heartful and you are demonstrating it, you are not just heartful by sitting at home and complaining and drinking and allowing this international drug syndicates give you drugs. No, you are prepared to stand up and say not in our name. So thank you very much, people of Limpopo. Let me just give you a quick background of our success, because that's something that we are extremely proud about. We took a strategic decision to contest 6 municipalities last year. It wasn't something that we did it because we did not know what we were doing. We were strategic. We wanted to contest where we can bring the ANC under 50%. Because one thing for sure for us as ActionSA that we are committed to, the first order of business is the removal of ANC. That's the first order of our business, because for as long as you've got ANC, you've got a problem. So we cannot really solve the problem of this country with the ANC. So we took that decision. We did not want to overstretch ourselves. In the city of, in Gauteng alone, the 3 metros, we contested the Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Tshwane. We caused serious damage, not only to the ANC, to the DA as well. You know, just to give you an example of ANC's drop or punishment. In 2016, ANC in the city of Johannesburg had 45% support. We took them down to 33%. We did not really play with them. From 45% to 33%. Politically, you can really check anytime, anywhere. No ways that any political party can ever succeed from that. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome Khosi Patla. Khosi, thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. What a surprise, because I don't know the man. I only saw him on national television yesterday. And as he enters, I said, no, but it's like someone I've had a drink with, because I watched him so many times. Very brave South African who's prepared to stand for this country, and said, no, enough, it's enough. So thank you so much, Khosi, for the statement that you made yesterday. It's going to go down in history of this country. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence here to actually demonstrate your seriousness in saving our country. Thank you so much. I was just giving you our electoral support. In Ekurhuleni, we took the ANC from 48% to 38%. In Tshwane, we took them also from 43% to 34%. That's why today the ANC is not in the 3 metros, all 3 metros, because of us, ActionSA. And one thing that we are very proud about, our electoral support, not even Nelson Mandela achieved in 1994. Why? We're the political party that appeals to all South Africans. Just to really give you a sense of what I'm talking about. If you look at the electoral support, you can go into the IEC website. We received in the black townships, just to give you an example of Soweto, 21% of support. We took the ANC from the 80s to 53% as we speak right now in Soweto. Then you go into the suburbs, Randburg or Waterkloof, we're sitting at 21%. And what is interesting about these two scenarios that you understand the impact is that no any other party outside the ANC makes any impact in the black townships. The DA, as the second biggest political party in Soweto in 2021, only received 3%. Us as ActionSA, from nothing to 44%. Sorry, to 44 councillors, 16%, sorry, 16%. 44 councillors, from nothing. When they said, if you follow the news, analysts, so-called analysts, we are saying if ActionSA can get the 3 councillors in Johannesburg, they'll be lucky. We're sitting today with 44 councillors in the city of Johannesburg. We're sitting with 19 councillors in Tshwane. We're sitting with 15 in Ekurhuleni. We are responsible. We are directly responsible for putting the DA in government. The DA, after the elections, did not want to govern. We forced them. We forced them. We are forcing them to govern, even up to today. We've put them in power. We're going to protect them to ensure that the next 5 years they govern these 3 metros, because we are not prepared to allow the ANC to come back and go and steal out the public monies. And DA is not happy with us. Michael can tell you, he sits on our coalition partners negotiations, how they abuse us. I'm telling you, we are going to tolerate that abuse for the next 5 years. Because we just want to make sure that we prevent the ANC from coming back. In all the 3 municipalities we contested in KZN, in Newcastle today, Newcastle is run by a multi-party government because of us, ActionSA. eThekwini and KwaDukuza, watch the space. Just watch the space. I can't give you the details. But we followed this up 6 months later. We've already run 2 by-elections. very important for you to really have this context and this history. It's very important for you in this region as you are working towards 2024. We took a conscious decision as Senate to contest Ward 96 in Tshwane. This particular ward, it's one of the biggest wards in Tshwane, in the municipality of Tshwane. 80% white Afrikaners. When we contested in 2021 last year, we received 6% of the support of this particular ward. There was a by-election, our first one we contested. We moved from 21%, from 6% to 22%. Everybody else went down. We beat even the Freedom Front Plus in their own neighborhood. The DA, we crushed them. The ANC and EFF, in fact, when you look at the graphs, you can't even see them in this particular ward. ActionSA up. 3 weeks later, we followed it up with a by-election in Soweto, Ward 53, also one of the big wards. If you look at our performance in Soweto in 2021, overall Soweto, we received 22%. This particular ward, we didn't do well. We only received just over 12%. Today, as I'm talking to you, after the by-election 2 weeks ago, we are sitting at 22% of the vote. So what does this actually say to you? That we are our growth is actually unprecedented. And we appeal to whether it's in the suburbs or in the townships. Because I've given an example of the two, where everyone else does not really exist. So if you take last year's local government elections, you take these two wards, you combine all the political parties. ActionSA is actually the biggest party in Gauteng today. And under the stewardship of our chairperson, Baloyi, we are confident Gauteng is in the back for us. But now, we want Limpopo as well. From the little that we've witnessed, we are really confident that is going to happen. So we are ready as ActionSA come 2024. We have what we call ActionSA 2024 project, where we're going to fix South Africa. We are determined, we've done our homework, and we are continuing working around the clock that ActionSA is going to emerge as the second biggest political party in this country. And I think I want to make it very clear, Lediga, for you coming from the ANC, make it very clear to them in advance so that you don't stand on a fence, that ActionSA will not go into a coalition with the ANC. So make sure that they must not waste your time saying, can we talk? I've said to the ANC after the local government elections, and it's official, and I'd like it to really be known. I said to them, if they want to really talk to us about coalition, they must only call me in 300 years' time. And in that 300 years, I'm not really saying we'll be ready. We might talk. If they want to call me, please, only in 300 years. So, and we've not yet a year, so we still got a long way. So, Mr. Lediga, they must not take advantage because you come from the environment. I voted for them. I was never the member of the ANC, but I voted for them twice. In your particular case, you know what they call comrades. In ActionSA, as I was saying to Mr. Lediga earlier on, ActionSA, please, no comrades. Please, I beg you. Well, the term comrades is banned under ActionSA. Comrades are thugs, are thieves. So if anyone wants to call you comrade, you refuse, because you know why? They always call you comrades when they want to corrupt you. They want something from you. So there's no comrades. We're not communists. One of our core values is free market economy. We want the private sector to drive the economy. Our role as government to create an enabling environment for the private sector to operate on a fair basis, not because you are close to me or anybody else. We create opportunities for all South Africans. That is our role as government. So we're not communist. The comrade, it's a communist term. So, and we are not communist. That's why I wrote a book called Capitalist Crusader some 8 years or so. Deliberately called it Capitalist Crusader, so that people can know that, you know what, if you pursue a free market economy, you have a government, like I lived and started my business under Lucas Mangope in Buputatswana. I'd never met Lucas Mangope before in my life. They had the Buputatswana National Development Corporation, run by black and white South Africans. They were always there to assist us. There's not a single day in the years I operated until the collapse of our apartheid that a single official from the Buputatswana Development Corporation ever asked me for a favor for a cold drink. In fact, they are the ones all the time would host us for their lunches or whatever, facilitate anything that we wanted for our businesses to grow. And South Africa came. People started asking for cold drinks and favors. We need to really fight this evil. We need to bring God back into our lives. I think, and I'd really also want to really be clear, that Lediga, Collins and everyone, for ActionSA, and I'm not really saying that I want to impose my religious beliefs on you. I'm a Christian, I believe in God. We are going to bring God back into our lives, because without God, no chance of us ever making. And we are going to coexist. We are going to coexist with other religious affiliation, be Muslims, be Jewish, or be Hindu, because all of us, we believe in God. Yes, I know South Africa is a secular state. There are those who don't believe in God, but it's their problem. It's not going to be my problem. That is why I'm interested, what I've just learned from Lediga, that he was responsible for the formation of SATU, because SATU is one of my biggest enemies. But I know when they started it, they had good intentions. But the intentions, unfortunately, they've created chaos. They've robbed our youth of a great future. Under ActionSA, the principals of schools are going to be appointed by us as the Department of Education, not by any union. No union will ever, you know. We are going to bring back school inspectors to go to any school, anytime, unannounced. And they don't have to ask permission from the principal or go to the principal's office. They can just go and say to go and report to the principal that you are around, and they choose which class to go and see whether the teachers do what they're supposed to do. We want as ActionSA that our children, when they go to school, every morning before they go to class, they must go to assembly and have a prayer. We are going to close our borders. We are going to close our borders. We are going to continue what this country was built on. The foundation of this country is built on migration and immigration. We are going to encourage people of the world to come to South Africa because we want them. But they must come here legally, and when they are here, they must respect our laws. Those who are coming here for nefarious reasons to come and to commit crime, we are not going to hesitate. We're going to send them back where they came from. We are not going to allow any country to outsource their problems to us. We've got our own problems. 13 million South Africans are unemployed. So please leave us alone. Don't tell us about a borderless country. We're a sovereign nation. That's why we've got a constitution. How can you say we must not really have borders? Then we're not a country, because if you don't have borders, you're not a country. South Africa is a sovereign country with a constitution. So borders are critical. So we are going to ensure that people who are in this country, they come and enjoy the beauty of this country, come and enjoy our hospitality as South Africans. But it must be people who are going to add value, not liabilities. Give us another 20 years or so to sort ourselves out. The day when South Africa is has got a 5% unemployment, that's when we can then say, look, let's open for more liabilities. And we'll always be, but for now, the preference of ActionSA is going to be South African first. That is not negotiable. And with Khosi Patla here, I would like to invite you, because I've had numerous interactions with Contralesa Khosi the last year or so. We as ActionSA, I'm aware how our traditional leaders have been failed by this ANC government, use them for political reasons, like they've compromised COSATU, they've compromised anything that they touched. We want to really work with you. We want you to start engaging you with immediate effect, so that when we take over government in 2024, then we have an idea where your failures came from. Because we don't want this to be an academic exercise. Share with us, talk to the other chiefs, the other horses. Tell us what are the issues, what constitutional amendments you would really want, so that we can really prepare ourselves. Because we don't want your village or your community to be led by criminals. Because if you look at our townships, our villages everywhere, because in our current government, senior leadership is based on amount of crimes you've committed. Now you can imagine in your village, a known criminal is a community leader, it's a councillor, or is a member of parliament. Those days are gone. So we want to really work with you, so that because we believe in ethical leadership. So we want to work in the villages, and so that when someone is a councillor or is a member of parliament or a member of the province, is someone that the community respect. Not respect because it's Jaiva or it's a Katara. It's someone who has got a foundation of being a public servant. And that is what this party is it's all about. So we are going to contest all 9 provinces. So far we've got now the latest province where we've now, as of today, have a provincial chairperson by Mr. Sello Lediga. We've got Bongani Baloyi in Gauteng. We've got Khosikwe Mangope in Northwest Province. We've got Athol Trolip in the Eastern Cape. We've got Musa Kubeka in KZN. We are now left with 4, which is Limpopo, Free State. Sorry, Mpumalanga, I'm sorry. Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, Free State, and unfortunately, a few weeks ago, Western Cape. We had fake Mento, unfortunately, ill health forced him to step aside to allow her to really recover. Obviously, it's now open a gap for us to really look for someone to replace her. So we've got 4 more now to go. And I can give you my commitment. We're going to do everything possible to ensure that every month we announce the leaders. I'm engaging already in Mpumalanga. I'm engaging in the Free State, the Northern Cape. We'll work on with our National Director of Operation. We'll work on the Western Cape. But we'll be ready for 2024. With all the tricks of the IEC forcing us to contest as a logo, we are going to be vigilant. We are going to be vigilant and ensure that we get party agents, we mobilize our people. We want ANC supporters. We are saying, if you're an ANC supporter, please come to us. But we don't want ANC leaders. We don't want the ANC leaders. And I'm sure you'll understand why. We cannot operate with money launderers. We can't work with rapists. No, we want to work with ethical leadership. But ANC, the voters, it's going to be your responsibility and my responsibility, all of us, to ensure that people are registered to vote. The voting population of this country is roughly 38 million. Only 14 million people voted last time. More than half of almost 10 million South Africans have not even bothered to register. And I'm so pleased that today, the manager of this hotel, I registered her myself because she had given up on voting. I registered her myself. That's what you need to really do. On your phones, registering someone as an ActionSA. Don't wait for IEC for voting weekend. Start today when you leave here. Start registering people. Make sure that they are ready for 2024, because in 2024, it's it's going to be a historic event for South Africa, because if we can't remove ANC in 2024, then we must understand South Africa is going to be a failed state. So we have a huge responsibility to ensure that that does not really happen. So Lediga, Peter, Collins, thank you so much for what you guys have done, and you continue doing with your activists. Really appreciate what you are doing, not only for Limpopo, what you're doing for South Africa. Thank you so much. We never expected this. You exceeded even our wildest expectations. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Ndate Mashaba. Koshi, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I will now open for questions from the media. Please, colleagues, I know, curb your enthusiasm for today. I'm going to allow members of the media who may have questions, if you would please raise your hand so I can recognize you, and then...
or let me just say civil war. Did that ever cross your mind? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Katleho Nyoni from SABC News. My first question is to Ntate Lediga, just to find out from you, because you are a businessman or were in business. I'm wondering if you still have any business ventures. And secondly, we know that the information and communications technology sector was amongst those sectors that were riddled massively with corruption. We've seen in Limpopo the Limpopo Connection, that broad-based project never really quite took off. I'm wondering, when you witnessed or encountered, corrupt elements during maybe your tenure in ICT, how did that make you feel? The other question that I have is to Ntate Mashaba, just to make sure, how do you ensure that you maintain this, excitement that you've invigorated here in the province? How do you make sure that the support that you've garnered so far in Limpopo does not fizzle out, and perhaps that, Limpopo is one of those provinces that is plagued by service delivery concerns? Is perhaps maybe your focus that you want to really destroy the ANC not going to deter you from key concerns that are facing residents, which is like service delivery in our province? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your questions. I have space for two more. If not, we'll take responses. All good? All right, Ndate Mashaba. Oh, actually, yeah, Ndate Sello, you want to take it?
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Big words don't mean anything, Let me tell you this. When I left the ANC, actually in 2014, after the PTT, for 5 or 6 years, I went into civil society activism. Inspired at the time by Tumamina, by the way, I took children, young people around this province, Amashashani and other places, to go and just clean up our villages, to make sure that when people litter and children do so, we teach them not to do so. That consciousness is very important in building a young person. And I said to them, we are going to work, and we did it practically. I bought the plastic blankets at the refuse, the lavo, and I went out there with young people and said, okay, we are going to clean up this place, all of us. And I said to Khoshi, we'll clean it up, but after cleaning it up, you're going to make sure they don't litter again. That is community-based activism. It's not big words like integrity, leadership, and vision. In the same breath, we went to Alexander, township, and we did street to street. We're actually collecting garbage then, all that, because the government was actually not doing its work, The last one was in Tembe. We went to a orphanage. And in that orphanage, we prepared the ground, and then we put actually a vegetable garden, so that the school should not waste money on vegetables. It must buy other things and not just vegetables. That happened just a few days before COVID, was announced in the country. The point I'm trying to make is that in terms of my background, I love education, and I know why education is failing, and why the leadership of this province is actually doing so. When I worked with Dr. Aaron Mutsoaledi and Professor Harry Nengwekulu, we took the results of this province, from about 31% to about 68%. And I was the director for education. I was the leader of what was called CALS, restoring the culture of learning and teaching in this province. And those are practical things that you I went, because Sekhukhune has the worst results in the province. In 2015, I ran classes over the weekends, maths, science, and technology. And we actually made a difference, The following year, I told the MEC that I did it alone. And that is a sad thing, Mr. President, that is a sad thing. When I started that project, I needed teachers to teach on Saturday because it was like your extra classes. When I went to SADU, my organization, they told me, no, now I won't be able to do it on Saturday, I had 24 teachers, 22 of them were from Zimbabwe. I only had 2 from South Africa. But we did the work, on Saturdays, especially college, Bobo, CN Party and all that. So what I'm saying to you is that there are practical things that we can do. I've been in agribusiness. I know what it means when you organize the community around a community vegetable garden. So those things are really practical, I know I've got people like Mr. Pule Munama, these are critical people in this province who are entrepreneurs who do not actually need government for tenders and corruption in order to do things that have to be done. Lastly, I want to issue, and it's official, I've become a full-time employee at ActionSA. I don't need any more business interests. But because of my background, and experience, I still serve on some boards. And I hope you understand what it means to serve on a board. You are not working there, you understand? And that is where I'm needed. I used to serve on the board, leader. And I was chairman, internal ethics committee. And when it became too dangerous for the government to do so, I was actually fired in 2019. And I lost my name, I must be honest with you, But that actually happened. What I'm saying is that don't worry about that, I'm now a full-time employee. I stopped long ago, Thank you very much.
Nakidile ya AfriForum, muli di borders. Kina Minister of Borders. Look, our problem of borders is massive. I think I appreciate the work that AfriForum is trying to do, but there's just no way that they can win, because our problem is not only at Bay Bridge, it's at our airport. Excuse me. Our problem It's at our airport, OR Tambo, King Shaka, Cape Town. So Swaziland, all the borders. So until such time that government takes a conscious decision to close our borders, and of those who break our laws, they face the consequences. They face those consequences. I think for me, I appreciate what they're doing as a signal that South Africans are heartful of what is happening to our country. But I don't really believe they'll make any impact. They would not really have the capacity outside government with this exercise. But I think it's something that I personally appreciate, so that South Africans can realize that we have porous borders in the world. And the question of ANC losing power, that a civil war, my goodness, if anyone can really be threatened by ANC, ANC, the only thing that they know is to disrupt. We took them out of Johannesburg in 2016. And people said, no, we're going to really have disturbances. And you can imagine we're running a multi-party government. They tried every trick in the book to disrupt. And I can tell you this time around, I've got 3-year experience of government. When I took over as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, I didn't even know what the mayor does at the time. Right now, I've got 3 years of experience, and South Africans are not going to allow the ANC to disrupt this country. South Africans are not prepared, and are not going to. We are not going to be deterred by or be distracted by ANC thinking that they can cause a civil unrest. If they do, men and women in blue and our armed forces are there to protect this country. And we'll use them to ensure that this country is protected as per the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. How do we continue, Sello, with this excitement? In fact, that question should really be directed to Sello Lediga, because Kena who's taking the responsibility, working with these 2 young men, Peter and Colin. I can tell you, if these guys could do it without having any formal official structures, I can only really see this province actually going from strength to strength. And I think under the leadership of Lediga, I've engaged him, introduced to me by a mutual friend, and I engaged him, and really very worried. Someone coming from the ANC, I'm always scared of the ANC people. But I did my homework, and really came across to me to be that South African that I feel proud to be associated with. And I think again, Louis Goodwitz here, he said to all the actioners in Limpopo, he says, please don't bring the ANC tendencies into ActionSA. If you look at our constitution, we don't play. We don't stand on the fence. We know that they will send snakes into our environment. We deal with snakes. Let me tell you a little bit about snakes. I was born in a small village called Haramudzi in Amanskaral, you know. And in this village, we had lots of snakes. I mean, in a village, like all the other villages. And for some reason in my community, every time the community see the snake, they kill it. But after killing it, they burn it. But no high na low too high, you know. So when you kill a snake, you don't just kill it; you must burn it. And that is the principle I live under. Every time I deal with a snake, I don't just kill it; I burn it. So that Peter Collins, please. If you come across a snake, don't just kill it, because it wakes. It'll wake up. Kill it and burn it. then your problem is gone. And other snakes will know, you know what, hey, go anywhere next to the Mashaba family, other snakes on, because they know, hey, those guys are brutal to snakes. So ActionSA, be brutal with snakes, because they're dangerous. So I'm really quite excited with this project, and I think they've got it clearly that we don't really play, because this is about the future of our country. We've got nowhere else to go. I'd really dread to see this country being a failed state. And we are just on the verge of being a failed state. Our debt levels have gone to 4 trillion rands. Are you aware, not your children, your grandchildren, we won't be able to really repay this debt. By your grandchildren who's not born as yet, they're already in debt because of ANC government. Coming here yesterday, I look at, we're driving along the railway line. I remember coming to Tefluop, my first trip in January of 1979, using a train. I was 18 at the time, going to Tefluop. Take a train 10 to 10 in Amanskal, but in the train says 10 to 12, it leaves. It's not going to wait for you. I get to here in Petersburg at the time, 5 or so in the morning, wait for the bus to Moria, go and register myself. And I look at this infrastructure that the ANC has destroyed. I used to visit my family in Soweto. Trains between Johannesburg and Soweto, running every 10, 15 minutes there's a train. People of Soweto today are subjected to the taxes, that infrastructure destroyed, but money paid. So we've got a huge responsibility. ANC has betrayed us and betrayed our children and our grandchildren. So when they took over from the apartheid government had one of the best infrastructure in the world, one of the best. Some Western countries did not have the kind of infrastructure that South Africa had. Some Western countries. So ANC just really had to take the infrastructure, now expand it to everybody else. Because I remember the National Party and the white government at the time, this infrastructure was only meant for the whites. But it was there, and it became ours as South Africans. We just did not have to really destroy it. We needed to expand it to everybody else. Now you look at our people today in the townships, in the Johannesburg. In the city of Johannesburg, we probably have over 200 squatter camps where people live without toilets. I look at this town, Polokwane, it used to be Petersburg. 30 years ago, this city used to be here at least once, twice a month. It was such a clean, beautiful city. Today, it's like another place somewhere else. We need to really reclaim our cities. We need to work with the private sector to ensure that we build affordable accommodation for our people, not for our people to live in squalor. We build proper infrastructure for them. But as government, we don't have the money. We're not going to have money for the next 20 years. But we can actually use private sector money to build high-rise buildings for our people.
Their problem is because of membership recruitment. The party has been infiltrated by wrong people who see the party as a step ladder to riches and all those things. And to avoid that, because your party is growing, as you are saying, to avoid such, is there anything that we have learned from what the ANC and other old political parties are facing to make sure that you don't experience the very same problem? Thank you.
Emmanuel, I think it's a very important question you've just asked. The lessons from other parties. We've learned that you don't steal public monies. You don't go into public office for your own stomach. When you go into politics and do this difficult job, this difficult job that I don't like, I hate. Yeah, you know, people don't believe me every time I tell them I hate my job, because people ask me, do you like this job? I said, no, I hate it. And I truly mean, I hate this job because it's a punishing job. But one thing for sure, this job is one of the most rewarding jobs ever. It's one of the most rewarding. Every time when you make a difference to the life of just one person, that's when you realize the power of actually getting your hands dirty. Because we are not going to solve the problems of this country by sitting at dinner tables and saying, no, someone else will solve it. I can tell you, you and I, all of us South Africans have got a direct responsibility, because every time it does just not make sense to me. Someone says to you that I'm not a politician. Tell me, a human being, on the day when you are conceived, you are a political animal. You are a result of politics. You live in a political environment. How can you ever claim that politics is not for you? Politics is for you. The only way you get politics to leave you alone is to have interest in politics. And having interest in politics is not obviously for everybody to be in politics. It is just to make sure that you take advantage of our democracy and our constitution by going out to vote politicians in and vote them out. And let them know. And this nonsense, people tell you that your vote is a secret, that is pure nonsense. It's good. Khosi Phatla demonstrated yesterday, showed bravery and courage to say, no, now my vote is not a secret. That is all what we have got to do. I always tell people, this ANC people who have really betrayed us, that you feel you are disappointed with them, you are hurtful with them. Don't allow them to come into your house, but go recruit. Bring food parcels. So how's not the food parcels, you don't come. And when they bring those food parcels, take the food parcels and then go and put them in your bedroom somewhere. And then afterwards, you says, look, you know what? I'm rushing somewhere. Man. Can you come the other day? Don't refuse their food parcels, because they're going to think you are stupid, you are fools, that they can buy your vote by giving you food parcels before the elections. Please, I'm asking you as South Africans and as actioners, ask our people to accept. They must never refuse food parcels from the ANC. In fact, you must ask them to bring food parcels, because our people are hungry, you know. Instead of putting the money in mattresses, let them buy food parcels with that money. So that our people should not starve, you know. So those are the lessons we've learned. And I've indicated to you, yes, people are going to infiltrate us. And I'm saying, I've already indicated, we must be brutal with snakes. Anyone actually joining ActionSA to come and disrupt us, we can't stop, because we don't know. We can't stop a snake from coming into our house. We can't stop a snake from infiltrating us. But one thing for sure, once we discover that you are a snake, we've already, we are very clear. We are not just going to kill you, we are going to burn you.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you to the panel here. Thank you, Ndata Sello. Welcome, 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 welcome. I know you never have to be cold. Limpopo is so warm. It's I think it's summer all year long. So thank you for that. Thank you to all of you. Actioners, you guys are incredible in Limpopo. Thank you so much for showing up and showing out. Thank you to the media who are here. Thank you to our crew at the back. Who made sure that we are live streaming all over the socials. People who could not be in this room were watching us online. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. It's been seamless. Yeah, thank you to all of you who organized this session. Thank you for doing a great job. Peter and Collins, you guys are superstars. You guys are rock stars. Thank you so much. With that said, I'm Lerato Ngobeni. Thank you very much for a wonderful session. Oh, sorry. And the media who are here, if you want to do one-on-ones with any of the leaders up here, please reach out to me and we'll make sure that you can do that, okay?
All right.